Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome back to another deeply nourishing episode of Awaken Your Authentic Self. I'm Jessica, your host, your guide, and sister on this sacred journey. Today, we are diving into a timeless spiritual framework, the 12 laws of karma. This isn't just an episode, it's a remembering. Today's episode is a soul teaching, one I wish every child, every healer, every human could receive early in life. These aren't rules to fear, they're truths to live by. They're spiritual codes guiding you back into harmony with your higher self, with Source, and with your soul's purpose here on earth. You may find yourself saying, yeah, I've felt this before, or maybe even shedding a tear, because these laws remember you just as you remember them. We've all heard that phrase, right? What goes around comes around. But karma is so much deeper than that. It's not a punishment system. It's a cosmic scorecard. Karma is a set of universal principles, of soul laws that govern the way energy moves, how intention manifests, and how every thought, action, and emotion contributes to the tapestry of our lives. Understanding these 12 laws doesn't just help you be a better person, it helps you see why things happen, how healing works, and how your soul chose to grow through experience, challenge, and grace. So, if you're able, light a candle, ground yourself, and let's take a journey into the sacred architecture of life itself. Because when you understand karma, you don't just understand life, you remember who you are. The first law of karma is the law of cause and effect. I don't know what that voice thing was just now. This is the most well-known law and is often simply referred to as karma itself. As you sow, so shall you reap. But what does this really mean in a spiritual sense? Every action, whether it's physical, emotional, or energetic, creates a ripple in the universe. This ripple eventually circles back to you, not as a punishment, but as feedback. Consider this your sacred mirror, a compass pointing you towards your growth. Every thought, emotion, word, or action sends out a frequency. That frequency must be returned to you, not as a punishment, but as balance. Let's say you constantly speak negatively about others. Gossip, jealousy, or even just small criticisms. Eventually, you'll start to feel that same energy in your life. Maybe people stop trusting you. Maybe you start attracting those kind of people who talk about you behind your back. That's not just random. It's energy reflecting energy. On the flip side of this, though, when you send love, compassion, and truth into the world, even silently, that love will return to you often in very unexpected ways. Let me give you a personal example. I used to have a very bad habit of not allowing others to speak. I just always spoke over them. Yeah, I was that person. I started noticing that suddenly when I was speaking, others were suddenly speaking over me or just ignoring me completely. And I truly began to feel as though I was not being heard. And this definitely triggered me. As I started doing my healing work and I asked myself, why does this trigger me so much, is when I noticed that I had been doing that to other people. And taking it way back, I realized going back into my childhood that we were told as children we should be seen and not heard. So when I grew up, I claimed my voice, but I went extremely in the other direction. And I felt like I needed to dominate conversations. People never felt heard by me. Now, I know I didn't like how that felt. So from that point forward, with clarity, I made it a point to listen first and respond after. As I started doing that, I found that others were now being drawn to me, putting me in a position where I had to listen. And when I did that, I actually started receiving messages for them. Messages that might have been coming all along, but I never heard them before because I never took the time to listen. When I paused to reflect, I realized that I had sent out a particular frequency. Maybe that frequency was rooted in fear and control. Life lovingly returned it to me so that I could feel it, heal it, and ultimately alchemize it. This law invites us to radical, I should say, accountability, but not in the self-shaming kind of way. It says you are the creator, not the victim, and every creation is a chance to choose love again. Next is the law of creation, and it states that we are co-creators with the divine. Your outer world is a reflection of your inner world. If your home and sacred space are cluttered and messy, your mind is most likely messy as well. If your life feels chaotic, it's not about placing blame. It's about bringing consciousness to what you're unintentionally creating. Life doesn't just happen to you, it responds to you. We co-create our reality, not just because we control everything, no, but because our internal landscape shapes what shows up around us. If you believe that you're not worthy of love, you might unconsciously repel healthy relationships or sabotage them when they do arrive. If you truly believe in your heart of hearts that every man or woman is a cheater because that's all you've ever experienced, then that is what you will continue to attract into your life. You will create the very reality your belief system affirms. This is not about blame. This is about power, divine power. You are a creator. You create through your thoughts, through your intentions, your beliefs, your actions, and your energy. So, if you want a new experience, begin with a new thought and begin a brand new creation. This law encourages sacred responsibility. If you are waiting for love, but harboring self-loathing, if you desire abundance, but constantly affirm lack, your soul is showing you exactly where to reclaim your creative power. It's putting it right in front of your face. So take a moment and ask yourself, what am I currently creating? Is it aligned with the truth of who I am? What am I willing to create from this moment forward? The soul always chooses. Creation is always happening. The third law of karma is the law of humility. This law, this one might just sting a little bit, but it's so very important. You can't change what you refuse to acknowledge. You can't change what you refuse to accept. This law invites us to meet life and ourselves exactly where we are. Humility doesn't mean being small. It means being honest. For example, a woman constantly attracting emotionally unavailable partners might say, all men are emotionally immature. But humility asks her, why am I drawn to this dynamic? What part of me fears intimacy? This law actually hit home for me. This law took me 35 years to remember and relearn. I had, in 35 years, attracted the same type of man, that treated me the exact same way 3 times. And I thought I was broken. I thought to myself, why? I'm such a good person. I'm a caring person. I give so much of myself in relationships and I never get an ounce back of that energy in return. What am I doing wrong? But when I took the time, I went inward and reflected way, way back to my very first male relationship with my father, I noticed the pattern. The writing was on the wall. The glass was crystal clear. My father was a huge narcissist. He was extremely abusive in every sense of the word. So while I swore to myself growing up that no man would ever physically abuse me, the naive part of me never saw the mental and emotional abuse I had invited in and allowed. If we keep finding ourselves in toxic dynamics, but refuse to see our own wounds that attract them, we stay stuck in that dynamic. Once we stop blaming external sources and gently turn inward, that is when the transformation begins. This law is medicine for the ego and nourishment for the soul. This law calls us to humility, not to humiliation, but the humility that says there's more for me to learn. There's more within me to understand. This law helps you to remove the blindfold. It says to you, meet yourself exactly where you are. That there is the first step to transformation. Law 4 is the law of growth. Here's the truth, as simple as this sounds. Wherever you go, there you are. Ta-da! The law of growth tells us that real transformation happens within. It is not about making surface changes like switching partners, moving to another city, or changing jobs. It is about doing the real soul work inside, because our environment shifts as a reflection of that inner shift. To change the world, start with yourself. This law is big. It teaches us that the spiritual journey isn't about fixing the outer world. It's about growing the inner one. After the passing of my second husband, I personally thought that moving to a new city, a change of scenery, change of weather would change my life. So I uprooted myself, said goodbye to everything I'd ever known, and packed up my car and drove from New York to Florida to start all over. But the pain followed me because I hadn't yet addressed the deep wounds that were living inside of me. The external world only reflects the internal. And as you grow, so does your experience of reality. Let's think of it like gardening. If your inner soil is fertile with self-love, forgiveness, and truth, then what you plant will flourish. So ask yourself, where am I still hoping that the world will change instead of doing the inner growth I'm being called to? Where am I being invited to grow? What weeds need to be cleared? Am I willing to nurture this inner garden even if no one sees it yet? Law 5 is the law of responsibility. This law echoes, you are your life's common denominator. Now, this doesn't mean that we are at fault for every hardship that we've ever experienced, but it does mean that we are responsible for how we respond, how we integrate the lesson, and how we choose to move forward. Why? Because you are the soul experiencing it. And from that place, from that position, you always have the power to shift, heal, and grow. Imagine you keep changing jobs, but you keep ending up in the same work environment where you feel constantly disrespected. At this time, you might stop and ask yourself, what boundary am I not setting? Or what fear of confrontation do I need to face? Taking responsibility for your life is taking power. It means your life isn't happening to you, it is responding through you. Responsibility here doesn't mean taking control. It doesn't mean control. It means sovereignty. And that is empowering. The next law of karma is the law of connection. This is the law that tells us that everything is connected, past, present, future. That means you, me, the stars, the wind, everything is connected. Every moment, every soul, every action. This law reminds us that no action taken is too small. Every word you speak, every choice you make, they all matter. This law reminds us that nothing is isolated. Your energy, your lineage, they all contribute to the greater whole. For example, you choosing in your life to break a generational pattern, say of silence around abuse or addiction. This choice sends ripples not only forward into your descendants, but backward, healing ancestors who carried that same wound silently. Your healing ripples through your lineage. Your joy uplifts the collective. Your forgiveness shifts the energy of generations before you and after you. We need to remember that we are part of a sacred web. What you heal in yourself heals the collective. That is how powerful your soul is. Law 9 is the law of focus. This one likes to remind us that you cannot focus on two things at once. This is not referring to multitasking, which I love doing. This law tells us that if you focus on fear, you will feed fear. If you focus on love, you will align with it. You will align with love. This law asks us, where is your attention? Because that is where your energy lies. And that is where your karma is flowing. You cannot think of two things like that at the same time. This law is about mental discipline and energetic alignment. You must choose your frequency day by day and moment by moment. When you focus on gratitude, your mind begins to notice all the blessings around you, big and small. But if you focus on what is missing in your life, at that time you will only see lack. Your focus becomes a filter. You train your reality by what you repeatedly choose to give your attention to. Energy goes where attention flows. This is why spiritual practices like meditation, journaling, breathwork, prayer, and energy clearing are all so vital to your healing. They help you to recalibrate your focus. It brings your focus back to source. When you focus on healing, even in chaos, you generate healing. Law 8 is the law of giving and hospitality. When it comes to this law, your beliefs are tested through your actions. If you say you believe in abundance, but you hoard or you live in fear of spending and being without, the universe is going to send more opportunities for you to embody the truth you claim to know. That's when things break down, money seems to flow out of your life faster than it flows in. This law says, live your values, walk your talk. If you say you believe in compassion, could you extend it even to someone who's hard to love? This is where integrity and embodiment meet. Your actions should reflect your beliefs. If you say you believe in compassion but you judge others harshly, there is a disconnect there. If you say you believe in abundance but fear sharing, there's a blockage there. Imagine someone who teaches about forgiveness but holds deep resentment towards their parents. The universe will lovingly offer them moments to embody their message, not to shame them, but to align them. Hospitality means living your values in every room you walk into. So we are up to Law 9, the law of here and now. This moment right now is your only true point of power. Look at the past as a teacher. We know that the future is a mystery. But right now, this moment is your access point to alignment. Karmic loops often persist because we are living in the echoes of yesterday, living in the past, reliving memories of past losses and past hurts. This law helps you to cut the cord and return to presence. What are you choosing right now? Presence is your point of power. Let's say you've had years of trauma or self-sabotage. This law says it doesn't matter how long you've been off track, you can realign in this moment. I changed how I attracted my next and last relationship into my life by learning this law. Once I made the conscious decision to choose me first, everything changed. I changed my boundaries, or I should say I added boundaries. I told myself what was now acceptable in my life and what was not. And for a year after that, I was tested, but I never settled for less than what I told myself I deserved. And when I did that and stayed present, and as a Pisces, this is hard for me to say, but I took a step back from La La Land, my reality adjusted itself to my new belief system. My new reality, when it comes to love, is now beautifully aligned with my truth. This law is simple but profound. It reminds you that you cannot rewrite the past and that the future is shaped by what you do right now. Every breath is a doorway to a new reality. Law 10 is the law of change. And it's simple. The same patterns will keep repeating until the lesson is learned. Sound familiar? Ever feel like you're dating the same person with a different name, attracting the same exact job drama? This is the law that had me attracting the same man with a different face and name, different origin stories, same disrespect, just at different levels. This law is your soul's gentle nudge. You are not being punished. You are being asked to evolve. When you know better, you do better. And when you choose differently, when you interrupt the pattern, you activate a new timeline for yourself. History repeats itself until we learn the lesson. This law is the reason we find ourselves in cycles. We stay there until we finally decide to wake up. Examples of this would be you keep attracting emotionally unavailable people until you finally choose yourself. Or you keep getting passed up for promotions until you claim your worth. Patterns are not punishments. They are portals, portals to evolution. So just ask yourself, what cycle am I being invited to break? Now on to the law of patience and reward. You must understand that spiritual mastery requires trust. This law teaches us that true joy is found not just in the results, but in the journey itself. I actually have "Trust Your Journey" tattooed on my forearm before I even started my journey. It's actually one of the first things I got tattooed when I moved to Florida, and not realizing that years later it would have such a huge meaning and impact on my life. Sometimes we plant seeds and we would love immediate results, right? Beautiful flowers. But we know that life does not work that way. Not for the flowers and not for us. Karma works in divine timing. The universe wants to see, can you stay faithful even when it looks like nothing is happening? That right there is the test. And that's also the reward. True joy comes from doing the right thing and letting the results unfold in divine timing. This is the law of trust. Plant the seed, water it with action, and let it go. And I must need to spend some time in my garden today because I have a lot of gardening references coming to me. But a good example of this would be you commit to your healing journey, right? You try therapy, you try breath work, imposing healthy boundaries, but for months it just feels so slow. But then suddenly things begin to shift. You feel lighter, more aligned, more free. The universe always sees your soul work, even when no one else does. Karmic rewards arrive when the soul is ready to hold them. And last on today's list of karmic laws is the law of significance. Significance and inspiration. I knew I could say that word. This law reminds us that every action we take has value. Every kind word, every healing decision, every sacred no, every vulnerable yes. The smallest acts aligned with soul truth generate waves of light into the unseen. This law reminds you, you matter. You matter even when no one claps. You matter even when no one else sees. You matter because the universe always does. Every soul has a purpose. Every act has meaning. Even the smallest of acts, a smile to a stranger or a prayer whispered for the world, they all carry immense spiritual weight. You may not know it, but that one time that you shared your truth with someone, it inspired someone to do the same. That time that you chose love over fear, that altered your entire path. This law says you matter. Your life matters. Your light inspires more than you will ever know. I know that that was a lot, but with knowledge comes great power. Your power. So let's take a deep breath here together and take a moment to pause and let this energy settle. Let's invite everything we explored today into the body, into the breath, into the now. You just learned and journeyed. You journeyed through 12 powerful spiritual truths, ancient yet ever relevant. These are not just intellectual concepts. These are soul laws. These are energetic blueprints designed to bring you back into alignment with your authentic self. So let's anchor this in. Close your eyes if you can and place a hand on your heart. Just breathe. Ask yourself gently, which of the 12 laws spoke directly to me today? Was there a moment that made my body tingle, my heart tighten, or tears come to the surface? Where am I currently being invited to shift my karma, not through guilt, but through grace? And then reflect on this. Where in your life do patterns continue to repeat? This could be with relationships, money, self-worth, health, jobs, or family dynamics. These patterns, they aren't curses, they are callings. Karma is the universe saying, beloved, there's more here for you to see. There's something to remember, something to release, something to reclaim. You might even journal on this. What karmic cycles am I ready to close? What soul lessons have I resisted? And how can I embrace them? Where can I replace reaction with sacred response? And then shift into this powerful inquiry. What kind of karma do I wish to create moving forward? Because you can. You are the alchemist. You can create karma that is built from loving boundaries, honesty with self, kindness even when it's hard, aligning your words with your truth, choosing presence over panic, acting when no one sees, knowing that spirit always does. Pause for a moment and let this truth sink in. You are not bound to the karma of your past or your ancestors or your upbringing. You are not here to be trapped by the old. You are here to transcend. You are here to transform, to teach through your example. And here's something I want you to remember with every single cell of your being. You do not need to be perfect to create good karma. You simply need to be conscious. You simply need to choose love more often than fear. So, say this with me, either aloud or within your heart. I am willing to release what no longer serves me. I am willing to live in alignment with my soul's truth. I am willing to create karma that uplifts myself and others. I am a conscious creator. I am whole. I am awakening. I want you to feel the sacredness of these laws, not just as words, but as reminders of your divinity. These are not just teachings. These are the codes your soul already knows. As a bonus, you might want to just journal on this. Which law felt the most relevant to you? Where am I being called to integrate? And what small action can I take to realign with love? I want to thank you for walking with me today. These laws are not about becoming perfect. They are about becoming conscious. They are here to help you live your life as you came here to do, as your soul intended, a life filled with love, with intention, and with grace. The 12 laws of karma are not about fear. They are about empowerment. They are not rigid laws. They are rivers of divine intelligence flowing through your everyday life. And as you walk through life now, may you remember, you are never behind. You are never broken. You are always becoming. Every choice you make is a karmic seed. Every thought you have is a vibration. Every moment is an opportunity to return to who you truly are. And karma? Karma is not your enemy. Karma is your soul's teacher. Know that you are deeply loved. You are seen, and you are the living embodiment of divine karma. Until next week, keep choosing love, keep returning to truth, and most of all, keep awakening.